Todd. I'm President and CEO of the South Carolina Trucking Association, and with me is Alan Ard. Alan is President of Ard Trucking in Timmonsville, just across I-95 from Florence. And Alan is SCTA's Chairman of the Board of Directors and has been for the last year. Alan, welcome, and we'll have a brief conversation here in a few minutes.
Thank you.
I'm the paid advocate. Alan is our top volunteer. And so we're in the conference room, the SCTA conference room. It's the W.T. Castles Jr. conference room in our office building on Divine Street here in Columbia, ideally situated about a mile from the state capitol and 5 blocks from my house. Today it's a studio, as I'd imagine many of your offices have been for going on maybe 3 months now. And this is where we will drive our virtual annual meeting. I trust we'd all much rather be doing this via the beach rather than a screen, and this type of meeting platform will probably only increase your yearning for a resumption of in-person events. Each day this week we will host presenters and provide good content for you. This session will kick it off. Now, Mr. Chairman, we will dispense with the normal agenda for the annual business session, and instead I'll report for our treasurer, Chris Garrett. Chris is with Golden Strip Transfer in Simpsonville. He looks closely at our financials monthly. The executive committee reviews them in detail periodically, and the board reviews summary compilations every time they meet. They are prepared by McGriff and Company, our CPA that specializes in nonprofits. Thanks to a significant source of non-dues revenue, for now we hope to remain financially sound. However, we will be significantly short of our normal revenues from events and sponsorships. We're working and hoping membership renewals will come in to the extent that any delays or losses will not hinder our operations, our member services, and our capacity to advocate. We are not making any projections, but we're keeping a close eye on all of this and working diligently as a staff. We will print and mail our semi-annual report in a few weeks. The novel coronavirus, the new dreaded Big C, is taking its toll on our economy and our nation, our world, and politics. So there will be a lot of asterisks in 2020's archives. On a positive note, however, despite all of these disruptions, we will have continuity in SCTA's leadership. Mr. Chairman, congratulations on being elected to another term, and you have the privilege of being only the 4th chairman in our 88-year history to serve more than one term, and I hope you consider it a privilege and not too much of a pain for another year. The ballots are in, they've been counted, and so in my capacity as SCTA's CEO, allow me to officially install the 2020-2021 slate of officers and directors. So this is where I want you to work with me and use your imagination and humor me just a little bit. If you are a duly elected board member out there, please stand in place and raise your right hand and repeat after me as I read the oath of office. And I'll pause so you can keep up. I am duly qualified.
I am duly qualified.
In accordance with the bylaws of the South Carolina Trucking Association.
In accordance with the bylaws of the South Carolina Trucking Association.
To exercise those duties of the office to which I have been elected.
To exercise those duties of the office of which I have been elected.
And I will, to the best of my ability.
And I will, to the best of my ability.
Discharge those duties in accordance with them.
And discharge those duties in accordance with them.
All right, congratulations, you're official again, and thank you to the board and to the officers for your commitment and put another asterisk in the record. Now, thank you for indulging us with that somewhat strange virtual annual meeting, but that was kind of fun, I guess. And Mr. Chairman, Alan, I want to again thank you for making the trip over today so that we can do this special session. And so talk to me a little bit about, I guess, for the viewers, many of which have probably never met you before, certainly never heard from you before, because our members are scattered all over the state and the region and even the country, and we don't see many of them, you know, that often. So tell us a little bit about yourself and the yard companies.
Well, our trucking started back in 1945 by my father. When I finished school, I went to work for him. It was in '69. He actually worked for another company, and he owned trucks on the side, so it was just extra cash for him. But when I graduated, I decided to let's take it to the next level. And so from that point on, we started growing, and we have grown into what we are now, over 200 trucks. And so, but at the beginning, it was a shop with a little office inside the shop. And as we started, I was trying to learn about the trucking business, and I noticed some books that was on his desk that said Motor Truck Association and Motor Truck Rate Bureau. And I said, what is this? And he said, you have to be a member of the association to get your tariffs published to haul the freight for people. So I said, are we really active? He said, no, not really. So I said, well, I want to get active. And he said, okay, let's, you're welcome to it. And so I called Columbia, and I got this tough voice, Sam Walton, for a lot of you that may remember, may not. And he told me, come on up here to Columbia, son, and I'll set you up, you know. And so he came, and then that's when I met him, and I met, back then, there was two offices here, and one of them was Walters, Don Walters, and he set me up on the rates, and from that point going forward, and then a few years later on into it, and this was probably early 70s, and then somewhere in the 70s maybe, I became on the board of directors, and I've been on the board of directors ever since. So I'm like Rick, I'm all over that 50-year mark. But
close.
Yep, getting pretty close. But
what do y'all do? We're trucking.
We're actually a dry van carrier. We have a few flatbeds. We started off in the flatbed business, and we kind of converted on over to dry vans. But we still have a small fleet of flatbed trucks. We basically we used to run 48 states and Canada, but we found our niche and our traffic lane, and we've cut back. We mostly run the Midwest. And we have a large customer, Honda, which we're dedicated to. And now with us growing, we're looking to expand our rim into other customers. And I am the second generation, and now my son Taylor, he is very active. And matter of fact, yesterday he had a birthday. He was 27, and so he's gonna be the third generation. And it's like I could see me and him. He's all gung-ho to take it to the next level.
That's good. He's been active with us and shows a lot of promise, and I know you're looking forward to that and excited to see him come along and follow in your footsteps.
That's right.
As a sidetrack a little bit, I don't want to catch you off guard, but you know, having a lot of your business tied to Honda, and with the COVID causing a lot of businesses to shut down and things like that, I guess y'all have had to make some adjustments. And are you coming out of it now fairly well, and how does that look?
Yeah, believe it or not, Honda's plan was not to shut down, but what caused them to shut down was their suppliers in Ohio, Indiana, and our favorite state, Michigan. And but that caused them. But now they're opening back up, and yes, you know, if you would have told me a year ago that I was going to lay off 60 plus some percent of, I mean, not lay off, furlough, because we didn't lay them off. We didn't want them to lose their benefits, so we paid their benefits for them. And so if you told me I was going to furlough over 60% of our employees, I would have thought you was taking something. But we did, but now we're slowly cranked back up, and we're bringing them back. And I would say we are probably got less than 20 employees now that's still on furlough.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you feel good about going forward in the next quarter, the next 6 months, or when do you think you'll be back 100%?
All indications is that I would say by September,
okay,
we're gonna be back to figuring out how we're gonna handle any more drivers or where we're gonna get drivers from. You know?
Like it was before?
I most definitely think so, because there's a couple of things there, and you know, it's like you get some drivers probably that was already close to retirement says, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and retire out, and then you're gonna have, like you said, you're gonna have drivers that, I mean, even us, I noticed last month there was 20 plus applications for truck drivers came into us, you know. I mean, and you know, the month before, you know, we probably had 40 or 50 applications came in, you know, and I've said, this is sad, we're not hiring at this time, and you know, but, you know, and so that's probably what's gonna create a shortage too, with drivers moving around from one company to the other, deciding if this is something different they wanna do or don't wanna do.
Okay. You know, you've come a long way. I know you've grown, but also I think in terms of how you manage the fleet and your people. Got a great culture there. I've been to your relatively new facilities, and you seem to have a very happy and good team environment, good culture there. What do you attribute that to? What do you think? What's changed, and what have you done over the last number of years? You know, you've won about every safety award and even our top safety awards over the last few years. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, at ARD, our first priority is safety over revenue and profits. It starts with our drivers. We mold our drivers to think safety, not to think road rage, speed. It's like we let them know that if they don't make it on time, if there's a reason for it, then we'll compensate them for that. It starts with our drivers. It works up to our fleet managers that talk with them on a day-to-day basis, that keeps coaching them along to our safety department that just gives them video trainings. And if we have a driver that does have a freak accident, incident, or whatever, he's brought in, he's went through a video training, and he sees that, and then that makes him a better person. You know, people are human, they're gonna make mistakes. They're not always gonna be perfect. So the way we look at it is, if you got a good driver, to make him a better driver, you have to teach him how to be a better driver. He's just not gonna be a better driver by himself. And so that's what we focus off of, safety, from the driver all the way up to top management.
Have you implemented any particular safety types of technologies and things over the last few years, or what are you looking at maybe in the near term in that regard?
Yeah, we put on the collision avoidance, you know. We're looking at cameras now, you know. We tested a few of them. We've got to make a decision on which way we want to go and which ones we want to go with. But it's automatic, you know. We're automatic equipping the trucks with the mediation, you know, the distance. I mean, at first when we started, drivers was, hey, my truck's slowing up on its own. Well, that's the purpose of it, you know. You're getting too close. And then, you know, now they're learning how to deal with it, you know, and then they'll call it. You know, when we first got it, they'd say, my cruise control quit working. Well, guess why? Because you're getting too close to that truck, you know. I mean, but anyhow, you know, that's what we're looking at. Anything, because, I mean, with today's trial lawyers and the nuclear verdicts that's out there, we look at it and we think about it, and this is probably something that a lot of carriers don't look at. I mean, you're looking at maybe companies, and I'm saying companies, you know, from 5 trucks to 500. I mean, if you don't watch it, you're only one accident away from going out of business with a trial lawyer, with the nuclear verdicts that they are offering and giving out today.
Yeah, and that's something, as you well know, we've spent a lot of time talking about, a lot of time kind of digging into why, and we're trying to help our members be more cognizant of what they can do to better defend themselves, better prepare themselves to defend against, you know, those aggressive plaintiffs' attorneys that are going to try to get that award or that settlement up as high as they can. Hopefully you haven't seen any of those, and knock on wood you won't, but it will make you more vigilant, which is a good thing, but I do believe that there are some abuses in the system, and from a public policy standpoint, the association is working on trying to remedy some of that. You know, you mentioned how long you've been active, and certainly on the board for as long as I can remember. What's your comment about why companies who are engaged in trucking, whether they're a fleet operator or they're active in supporting and selling products and services to fleet operators, about being involved in associations?
Well, first of all, every trucking company, if this is what you want to do and this is going to be your career path, and I mean, you should belong to an association, especially if you're in South Carolina. You should belong to South Carolina Trucking Association. You can't, no, people don't, you cannot, it don't matter if you have 5 trucks or 500, you don't have the knowledge you need on a day-to-day basis that supports your safety and the growth of your company. You need association that is on top of it every day, and especially the South Carolina Trucking Association. I mean, with me being chairman for the past year and looking forward to it the next year, I've been a board member for probably, like you said, 40 years, but I was really shocked to see how much this small staff at this trucking association can put out to the members and put out to all the carriers if they want it, to tell them and show them how they can be safe and how they can protect their profits and their companies, and by just, you know, just by you guys and your office staff that's got a day-to-day relationship with the State House. And I mean, without association, I mean, you've got no voice at the State House. You got no way of telling them your needs. And it's sad to say, but the legislators, I mean, trucking is a money pit for them. If they need something to ballot something or to do something with it, they just go after it. And if you don't have an association that helps protect it, then your profits, I mean, this would be a non-vital business. You would never be able to survive in it.
Yeah, and thank you for that. We do have an excellent staff, a professional team, from Taryn to Jill McCain to Scott Woodbury. I think any need our members have, any question they've got, any resource they need, we within a pretty short period of time can find it and get it to them, and that provides a lot of value. And you know, we pride ourselves in being the go-to organization at the State House. If it's trucking or transportation related, they come to us. And right. So and if there's a local legislator that wants to know, I'll put them on you, and you can explain it to them. And you've done that, and a lot of our members have done that. So we want to continue to, you know, to advocate and stay close to the legislature, to Transport Police, to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, DMV, you know, you name it. So we spend a lot of our resources doing that, and the support you give us and the support our members provide is what enables us to do that. You mentioned importance. You know, since the pandemic, the trucking industry probably hasn't enjoyed such favorable publicity And now people understand a little bit more about what the supply chain is, and of course trucking is the key link in the supply chain. We're starting to say every other link in the supply chain involves a truck driver. And so have you noticed in what you've read or maybe in conversations with people that trucking maybe is held in a little higher regard now?
Yes, it was. I remember when I was real young, and my father used to tell me that truck drivers was known as the knights, the king of the road, and they was well respected. And over the years, I guess as more people got cars and more traveling they did, and then it seemed like they thought trucks was a nuisance, was in their way. They forgot to know that it was bringing them all the necessities that they use and enjoy every day. Well, when the COVID came about, that's what really opened their eyes again, that okay, these people that we thought was a nuisance out here is the only thing that's keeping us from going hungry, keeping us sanitized. And what's so proud about it is trucking is an elite, different type of people. This truck driver never said no. He never said, I'm not going to take a chance of getting this virus. I'm going to do what I normally do every day because this is my job.
Did you find that in your conversations with your staff, particularly your drivers, because they're relatively unsupervised, you know, once you dispatch them and they leave, they're on their own to take care of themselves to a great extent. Have they adopted their own set of sanitary practices themselves? What have you found that some of them have done?
What we've done, you know, we've helped them a little bit. So, you know, like I said, we stopped for a week or two until, you know, we could get everything back going. But like from you guys, you know, with the mask that you gave us, with us buying some more and buying gloves and sanitation stuff, we equipped all the drivers with the basic needs that they need. And they adapted, you know, because most of our trucks have refrigerators in them, so they adapted to take their 2 and 3 day supply of food with them, so they could be self-supporting. And you know, the only real sad part that I really heard, you know, drivers adapted to everything except for when the shipper says you can't use my bathroom, you know, and that really, you know. And then some states had enough, I don't know what you call it, to shut the rest areas down, so they couldn't even use the restrooms, you know. And but anyhow, they opened back up, and that's what I say about truck drivers. They learn how to cope with it, and
well, we've tried to keep our members from the get-go during this pandemic well-informed. Taryn would take and repurpose a lot of the information we got from the state's umbrella entity for emergencies called Emergency Management Division, and their point person, all of the information about what was going on statewide, then what ATA and other states would provide us, the information we've got from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, USDOT, CDC, all that. And we've been pushing, as our members will probably laugh about, maybe ad nauseum, we push this stuff out, but we wanted to make sure everybody had whatever they needed and could find the resources, you know, they needed. One of the things that we did early on was make sure that the governor's office, and when they were writing up the emergency declarations and the executive orders, and I'll have to give kudos to DMV for extending renewals and registration expirations, to Transport Police for working with FMCSA on relaxation of size and weight, and all the different waivers. We also wanted to make sure that SLED would coordinate with all the local enforcement agencies, especially if we had curfews or those kind of things, so that they wouldn't be stopping our trucks. Because if there's one thing this team, South Carolina, did or has done well, is promote safety, personal health and wellness, but also keep the economy going, and that means keep the trucks rolling. So it's interesting what fleets and drivers have done. Like you said, I think it's kind of heroic with the attitude everybody's taken.
Yeah, and you know, what I really was impressed with is the major three large truck stops. Yep. I mean, you would be surprised, you know, the drivers fuel their truck, they come up to the fuel island. They even set up apps so they could order them some food if they needed to while they was fueling their truck, and the person would bring it out to the truck to them. I mean, I was amazed that companies would go through those steps to keep the truck drivers rolling, you know, and just not leave them out there on their own and say, there's the fuel and you fend for yourself. So, you know, but I mean, you know.
Well, is there anything else you want to say to the general membership while you've got their attention?
Well, that's a broad question. all I can say, you know, is, guys, we're going to get through this. We're just going to come out to be stronger, and we're going to be a better organization. Nothing's going to keep us down. I just, like you say, you know, I mean, like Donald Trump said, you know, there's a lot of things he do that I don't agree with, but or the way he does it, but the end of the day is he loves America, he wants America to grow, and we're going to rebound. I can already see the stock market coming back, you know, and basically, guys, just keep the trucks rolling, you know.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate this. We could probably sit here for a couple of hours, but I don't think we want to try to push the indulgence of our members too much, but I thank you for your service. I thank you for your decades of support for SCTA. Look forward to working with you closely for another year, and let's do an elbow bump and keep on trucking.
There's one more thing I want to add to, guys. I just want y'all to know out there, members or any potential members, without the allies and the trucking companies' total financial support, Rick and his staff cannot do what they do for us. Remember, they are working for us. And without, you know, I know it's tough. I know the economy, you know, with the coronavirus and this, but try to dig down deep as you can and keep your membership current. And let's move forward, guys. We'll all come out of this.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Let me begin by sharing my appreciation for each of you during one of the most challenging and unprecedented events facing our industry and our nation. We began this year with optimism that 2020 would be a turning point for trucking, a year that would lift our industry out of the 2019 rut and put us back on a path towards sustainable growth. All the signs were there too, including strong performance in retail, housing, and construction. And with new trade agreements with China, Canada, and Mexico in place, an increase in U.S. manufacturing seemed promising. Analysts and investors both agreed, and the stock market soared to a record high of 30,000 points. Weeks later, we watched the market plunge by more than a third and the world's strongest economy come to an abrupt halt. Each day, stocks hit historic lows and highs. Panic-stricken consumers emptied store shelves. COVID-19 cases surged, along with a death rate surpassing all U.S. soldiers lost in Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq combined. And hospitals, nursing homes, and those serving on the front lines were being overwhelmed. Unemployment claims have now surpassed 33 million, erasing all job gains since the 2008 recession. And while the government's response was relatively quick, it came with several unintended consequences. Confusion and division spread fast between our motor carriers and their customers, shippers, law enforcement, state departments of transportation, and even within our own federation. Ben Franklin said, "We hang together or hang separately." At our last MC&E in San Diego, I repeatedly reminded our membership that we are in this together. Unity matters. It generates strength, confidence, and resolve. And during the last few weeks, our sticking together has made a difference. The President described COVID-19 as a war against an invisible enemy, one that's difficult to fight, let alone win. And that's why he called on us. Together, we worked with 5 departments and their agencies on the President's COVID-19 task force, securing federal essential designation for our industry. We sought immediate regulatory exemptions to hours of service and worked with FMCSA to knock down unintended consequences resulting from several states and local decrees, including the renewal and issuance of CDLs, CLPs, and medical certificates, while DMVs shuttered and state border enforced disclosure requirements were put in place. We worked with the Federal Highway Administration to reopen public rest areas in multiple states. ATA worked with FEMA and FMCSA, coordinating the acquisition and distribution of PPE to our members, workforce, and drivers, including several 100,000 masks and hundreds of gallons of hand sanitizer. And we lobbied Congress for immediate relief in the form of liquidity, providing loans to our customers and many of our medium and small members who needed a lifeline in order to survive. Working with a Strategic Priorities Committee, these efforts were swift and they were deliberate. What we sought, we got because it helped others, not just ourselves. And we're more credible and better positioned with the White House and Congress for taking this approach. And I thank our ATA leadership and the SPC members for their guidance and support in making that happen. ATA has communicated in all ways possible, providing members with weekly seminars on COVID-19, the economy, paid sick leave, and FMLA. We designed and populated our new website with the latest federal, state, and local news, guidance, and blogs concerning our industry. And we took to the airwaves, including national media outlets, radio, print, and social media. ATA joined several of our member CEOs and drivers, giving real-time interviews that educated the American people, the media, and decision makers on why we matter. And this media campaign has paid off, elevating our industry's image to heights few thought possible. Our image reached a peak when we returned last month to the South Lawn of the White House, where President Trump and Secretary Chao thanked God for truckers, sharing their personal appreciation for drivers and their countless heroic efforts during the COVID-19 fight. Our drivers' stories were emotional, revealing, and compelling, capturing what makes a driver so special and why this recognition was well-earned and well appreciated. After the event, I spoke with Wyoming's own Billy Hambrick, a Werner driver and a proud America's Road Team captain. Billy pulled me aside and said, "I want you to understand something. We're no longer the backbone of the economy. We're the heartbeat of this nation." So true and well documented. Just 24 hours after that Thursday afternoon event, #ThankATrucker had 350 million impressions, swelling to 410 million hits the following Monday. So to the 3.5 million drivers, we say thank you. As a result of this campaign blitz, Americans are now embracing our drivers. Our industry is in ways never thought possible. Families, churches, communities, handing out meals, baking cookies, and waving "I heart trucks" and thank you signs on highway overpasses. Our allied members, from insurers to private truck stops, are distributing masks and hand sanitizers to keep our drivers safe and equipped to do their job. We stepped up and helped our nation safely navigate this crisis. Now it's time to heal. Bob Costello has described restarting our economy as not being as simple as flipping a light switch. Rather, it's an entire wall of switches. Go too fast, and we blow a circuit. Go too slow, and there's not enough light to see the road ahead. This has to be done safely, responsibly, and quickly. That's why the President turned to those he knew would lead the recovery: truckers. Last month, the President named ATA and 4 of our motor carrier members to his Great American Economic Revival Initiative, advising him and his administration on how to safely build and quickly cross the bridge to recovery. We joined leaders in healthcare, technology, and manufacturing, lending our knowledge, experience, and our resources to get the job done. Our association is strong, not just because we have the best experienced team, but because of you, our members, our workforce, and our drivers. You inspire us to excel on your behalf. During the earliest days of COVID-19, ATA formed an internal task force to manage the association staff and ensure that we could continue serving you. We quickly complied with CDC guidance and state orders. Despite 2 of our employees contracting the virus, I'm pleased to report they have both recovered and that your entire ATA team has performed well under pressure. We never took our eye off your priority issues. The President continues to call for comprehensive infrastructure reform. And with fuel prices at unthinkably low levels, we're well positioned to capitalize on our work with House Democrats in getting a well-funded bill introduced and moving. We've sent up formal requests to Congress seeking relief from litigation. We're asking Congress to lift the century-old federal excise tax on trucks, a move that would add industry and manufacturing jobs and improve your bottom line. And as our economy revs up and people return to work, our industry will once again face a shortage of qualified workers. We must not let this crisis define our future. Planting seeds, including pilot programs that draw new talent into our now popular industry, is an investment we must continue to make. Permanent regulatory reforms from the Departments of Transportation, Health, Labor, Homeland Security, as well as the EPA, are all possible this year, thanks to the temporary relief we received during the COVID-19 crisis. We will emerge, we will thrive, and will return our great nation to a state of normalcy, paved with hope, optimism, and sustainable growth. It will happen because of the courage and hard work of truckers, grocery clerks, doctors, nurses, and ambulance drivers, not ambulance chasers. America knows who the real heroes are in this fight, and I encourage you all to remain united. We are in this together. ATA is committed to helping you all stay focused, be safe, and remain well. And we all look forward to seeing you in Denver. Thank you.
For a closeout, so you heard from ATA and everything they've done to help raise the public awareness of the critical essentiality of trucking and truck drivers. You heard from Alan Ard, our chairman, and congratulations on a chance for him to serve a second term. Maybe this time around we can get him up in front of the legislature or a bunch of TV cameras and see how he likes that, like his predecessors have had to wrestle with. So Alan, we're looking forward to that. I want to thank our staff here at SCTA, beginning with Taryn Shakitka. She helps us run the operation. You see and hear from her, Safety Speaks and other publications and push notices on emergency situational updates. Of course, Jill McCain runs our communication shop and helps us with getting the message out to the media outlets and through our social media channels and a lot of other things. Thanks to Scott Woodbury, who's our insurance and our marketing member services person. Done a great job for us, and that's a great income for the association. And Sarah Birch was with us for a while. Since the pandemic came in, we've had to decrease the staff. We hope to be able to bring her back on. All of this professional staff work is able to be done on your behalf because of your dues, support, and your contribution support. So if you're sitting on that renewal check, go ahead and cut it and send it on in. And we want to thank McGriff Insurance Services for sponsoring this kickoff virtual annual meeting session. And we hope to see you for the rest of the week. Thanks again.